Congress is MIA. Congress is MIA while Trump is essentially declaring war and not really telling the American people on whom he's declaring war on.
Well, correct. The Constitution says Congress gets to declare war and peace, and he does not have the legal authority to do this. But even beyond that, this is murder under both international and U.S. domestic law. If you have all of this proof, come show it in a court of law. That's what we do in this country. I represent San Diego, a border community. We've got the land border. We've got the Coast Guard interdicting drug crimes all the time. And there's a process, and that's not just what they do outside, like right off the coast of the United States. It's what they do in the Red Sea when they're trying to get Iranian stuff being smuggled to the Houthis, right? Like, there is a process for what you do. You board the ship, you collect evidence, not to mention the fact that you actually want to bring these guys in and prosecute them. One, so we know they're the right people and we're not just killing civilians and fishermen, but two, because actually through that you can learn more about the smuggling process and who you actually need to go after.
Why is Trump insisting that he can just kill people, whether by land or sea, without proving that they are even who they say?
Well, I think this power to protect our country is a power that presidents have exercised back to the very beginning of our country. And I had a law enforcement official tell me that on one of these drug boats, the amount of fentanyl or cocaine has the ability to kill 30,000 Americans. If you have a missile that is coming, if you had a missile that was coming to the United States that had the potential to kill 30,000 people, I think the president would well within his authority to stop that boat.
The basic level of proof is that boat actually carrying fentanyl? Let me play what Rand Paul said about that very issue.
When you kill someone, you should know, if you're not at war, not in a declared war, you really need to know someone's name at least. You have to accuse them of something. You have to present evidence. So all of these people have been blown up without us knowing their name, without any evidence of a crime. This happens every day off of Miami. But we know from Coast Guard statistics that about 25% of the time the Coast Guard boards a ship, there are no drugs. So if our policy now is to blow up every ship we suspect or accuse of drug running, that would be a bizarre world in which 25% of the people might be innocent.
We're also interdicting, I shouldn't even say interdicting, we are bombing ships that are not even apparently headed to the United States. So again, I mean, I take your point about stopping drugs coming to this country, but don't you have to, A, prove that there are drugs and actually know that they are coming to this country?
I haven't seen any evidence that suggests that the president and the military were mistaken.
That's because we haven't seen any evidence.
Okay, but listen, I trust our military.
There's no evidence at all, one way or
there's no men and women armed forces to protect our country, and they know where these drugs are going. They may not be directly headed toward our country.
Have you seen any evidence at all about any of this? Like,
listen,
who are these people?
I trust our military.
What drugs were they carrying?
And our
Where were the
executive branch
boats
and our
heading?
law enforcement officials to make sure that they're protecting our country. And I don't think it's realistic to suspect that we're going to board all these drug boats and take them to court and extradite them in the United States. That would be, I don't think that's sufficient.
Okay, but Jeff,
this is a great
what's going to happen when there's a 60 Minutes episode in the future and it shows the fisherman who went out with his brother to go fishing for tuna, and it turned out that he was shot by one of our military.
Then we
have to go through a process. With every topic we've talked about tonight, whether it was the East Wing demolition, whether it's the tariffs or the Argentina, the cattle farmers, now this. There's got to be some oversight. That's the purpose of our Constitution. There's got to be following some procedure and process. I'm all for going after the bad guys. Let's go after the narco-terrorists. Let's go after the cartels. Let's stop them from killing the people in our country. I am all for that. But let's follow a process so that we can stop people from breaking the rules.
A former legal counsel for President Bush, Jack Goldsmith, said it's dangerous enough to try to kill with military force, but not dangerous enough to detain and prosecute by lawful methods, almost certainly because a lawful case could not be made before a court. That is especially awkward for the DOD. Again, it raises the question, we had 2 people in our custody who were on one of these boats, and you know what we didn't do? We didn't bring them in, we didn't question them, we didn't try them. We just sent them back to their home countries. If they're guilty enough to kill, why are they not guilty enough to be tried?
Well, Congressman, that was a great hypothetical about the people going on their boat fishing for tuna, and I think anyone at this table will be hard pressed to show me one incident of someone having a line in the water and we indiscriminately bomb them. The intelligence is there, as the congressman said. We have to trust our military.
I'm sorry. I'm
and we
on
have
the
to
Armed
trust
Services and the Foreign Affairs Committee. The intelligence is not there. We've not seen any of that intelligence.
What I would say is this. What we just heard from Senator Paul is that when we board these boats, 25% of the time we don't find drugs. The scourge of fentanyl in this country and the American families that it's devastated, 75% of the time, according to the senator, is absolutely
Okay.
worth
So
the
if- all right,
So if
Tim,
25% of people
Tim,
kill, it's okay
absolutely
that they're
worth
innocent?
Tell
the
that,
president
Tim.
taking action. And I would
Hold on a
challenge
second,
anyone
Tim.
at
Is it
this
okay to
table-
kill 25%
I would
of
Hold on,
challenge
people?
anyone at this table to
Tim,
look at an American
before you,
family and tell
Tim,
them that,
before
no, we
you
shouldn't
ramp
take
up
any
on
action
your
this issue.
monologue, let me just
Are you
make a
saying
let me
it's
just
okay to
make a
kill the
quick
25%?
point.
Sir, what I'm saying is I would challenge you to
Tim,
look at any
before you
American
ramp up,
family
let me
and
just
say
make a
this is
quick
not a good
point
idea.
that I noticed that you ignored my question. I noticed that you ignored my question, which was about the fact that we had people in our custody. The United States military had 2 men in our custody. We are accusing them of trafficking drugs into our country. Why will they not charge those people? Why did they send them back?
Abby, I'm not familiar with the case that you're bringing up about the 2 men. What I will
It
tell
just
you
happened.